This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Visit the podcasts page for show notes and links. And, remember to like, share, and comment to help me grow. This is my fully operational Star Wars analysis episode. Let me find out what episode I'm on right now. Episode 50, and I'm talking about The Bad Batch, Star Wars The Bad Batch, episode 11 of season 1. This episode is called Devil's Deal. I do not know who the writer and director were yet because the Disney Plus app is kind of whack and they don't want to let you pause things and see exactly who the people are working on these shows. You would think they would want to give credit where credit is due, but I guess it's more important to stop people from pausing and taking screenshots on their phones of these shows that they've made. So I'm pulling up the credits right now to look at them on my phone. Steward Lee was the director of the episode. Let's see, I gotta reload this real quick. And the writer is, I'm sure Matt Michnovetz was the story editor, but I will tell you who the writer was. Oh, the writer, Matt Michnovetz was the story editor, and Tamara Becher-Wilkinson is indeed the writer of this episode. And she did another episode, and I'm pretty sure I liked it and didn't have much complaints. I've liked most episodes of this show so far. I do not have a quote to title off this episode, so I'm just going to say Rebellion is Good is the title of this episode, or this analysis, and I will go ahead and get into it now. For one thing, I'm switching up the format a tiny bit to be a little looser, a little more free. I'm just going off the top of my head for this because there's no time for notes. So what didn't I like about this episode? Well, this episode is called The Bad Batch, and whilst it is a continuation and evolution of Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars The Bad Batch is supposed to be about the Bad Batch, and yet it was actually about the rebellion on Ryloth. In fact, I think it was plucked from the Star Wars spin-off series called Star Wars Ryloth's Rebellion. But, so that was a little off-putting to me. Another thing is, this is a technical thing. I thought that Hera found Chopper from a downed, a Y-Wing or something like that, and then repaired him, rebuilt him or whatever. And that may still stand, but it just doesn't seem to jive with the fact that she had him here at the end of the Clone Wars, and I thought it was different. I thought it was a little bit different, and something seemed off about him. Like, is he not as scrapped and put back together as he was supposed to be, as he was in the original telling of his origin or whatnot? I couldn't quite tell. It's been a while since I've watched Rebels. While I did enjoy it, there's a lot going on, so I haven't gone back to watch it recently. So there's that. Another thing is, I didn't like, or I had a problem with the idea that, oh gosh, where was it? Well, there's so much wrong with the Empire, and there's so much wrong with their occupation of Ryloth, post Clone Wars. Oh, that's what it was. Cham's talking about how the people of Ryloth have seen so much war and so much fighting, and that how he doesn't want that for Hera. I haven't seen any war. I haven't seen any fighting personally. I've never been involved in the military. However, the United States has been at war in Afghanistan for almost 20 years. And that's all supposedly related to the September 11th attacks from 2001. You can look into the full history of that. And it's very interesting the fact that we went into both Iraq and Afghanistan post 9/11, as if 9/11 were a legitimate reason to go into those places. Anyway, I'll let you look into that history. But we've been at war now for 20 years, and we have men who fought in Iraq or Afghanistan have had sons, mostly, I don't know about daughters so much, who have gone on to enlist in the war in Afghanistan, that their fathers were veterans in. And of course there's the different tours of duty and different amounts of time, rotations that you go in and serve out in the field. And you can also have service where you're, actively deployed at a military base out in the desert, out in Afghanistan or wherever you are, or you can be deployed in different places, in the United States or in Okinawa or somewhere else. So just because you're enlisted and serving doesn't necessarily mean you're in combat the whole time. But there are people who've done multiple tours of duty, and then their sons have gone on to do a tour of duty or multiple tours of duty in that same war. What do we have to show for it? Anyway, but it was interesting that Cham, I don't know, was Ryloth at war? Has that been established that Ryloth was at war, some sort of civil war within or war against another planet? Because, there hasn't been a galactic-wide war since, however long. And I think we learned that from the Phantom Menace, from C.O. Bibble. I believe C.O. Bibble over on Naboo talks about the fact that there hasn't been a war for, a long, long, long time. And, that's good. War is not good. It's good to avoid. But that's one planet. So did Ryloth have war before then? I was a little bit confused about that. And I don't mean to be calloused or to not care, because, of course, war is a big, bad, terrible thing. But I did find it kind of odd that Cham's like, oh, man, 3 years of war, we can't, do any more of this. I don't know, it just seemed kind of odd. It just seemed kind of odd to me. Another thing is, well, I think that's all the negative I have for now. I'm going to move on to the positive. I liked the meeting between Omega and Hera. That was kind of cute. It was interesting to see, the girlishness and the wonder regarding flying and being a pilot that Hera had, and the way she shared that with Omega. That was kind of cool. And I bet some people will think that the feeling that Hera gets when she's flying has something to do with the Force. I don't think it does, even though I know supposedly the Force works in everybody. According to certain people's interpretations of things, like when Han's flying and he's in the zone, that's him being in contact with the Force or whatever. But if the Force really is the sovereign, divine, I guess fundamental part of existence, or this fundamental element of existence, the Force would have to be in everything, and I'm totally fine with that. But not everybody can access it like that. So anyway, and who knows if that's why Hera's such a good pilot, or if it's something else. But anyway, that was a cool moment. Honestly, I liked that the Empire coming in and forcing a population to give up its weapons was seen as evil. There's no reason ever to give up your weapons if you're peaceful people. The people of Ryloth, the Twi'leks, had been fighting in part of the Clone War against the CIS and their droid army, and I think they were neutral world at first, and then they became loyal to the Republic. They became part of the Republic. I believe Jar Jar Binks and oh man, what's his name? Bail Organa had a large part to play with that, along with the Jedi defending Ryloth together, I'm a Gundai and other people. Mace Windu was there, and I don't know, maybe even Anakin, and I don't know who else. Anyway, but yeah, so they eventually they were an independent system, and they became part of the Republic, and then presumably they stayed part of the Empire. But part of that deal, part of that devil's deal, was that they give up their weapons and they let a base be built on their planet. But of course they had to give up some of their sovereignty, and they were supposed to not question what the Empire was doing with the base that they were building there. And of course, the Empire made promises that they were going to help the people of Ryloth and the whole galaxy build back better after the war, after the fighting was over, after there was supposed to be peace now. But of course, they were restricting the people of Ryloth from freely traveling across their own planet and being involved in certain areas, like this, foundry or factory or whatever. And I don't remember later on what kind of factory is put on Ryloth. Is it a weapons factory? I don't know. Those gun towers to me looked kind of like what's on a Death Star or a Republic cruiser, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I don't necessarily have a problem with a factory having a defense system like that, but it makes me assume that it's actually just a weapons factory, and that that those who are interested in making money off of weaponry in the Empire are, deeply rooted, deeply seated within the Empire. I guess if the Empire is a military empire and it believes in its exercising of force, like under the Tarkin Doctrine and such, where you have powerful weapons and you display them prominently to your citizens in order to cause them to fear rebelling against you and to keep them in line, I guess it makes sense that the Empire would be interested in forcefully taking over worlds or rather converting worlds and making them subject and turning them into weapons foundries in order to bolster their might so that they can execute this doctrine of rule through dominance, and not dominance over an enemy, but dominance over your own people in order to keep them in line. Almost telling them that they would need something like a Death Star in order to, combat you and keep you and fight against you and your empire that you've built up. So that's all that stuff is pretty interesting. I liked the show. I liked what we got to see on Ryloth. I like to see the rebellion fomenting there. I like to see that Cham really did want peace and that he didn't want to fight and that he got pushed to it. It was fun seeing blurgs. I don't remember if we've seen blurgs. I think I remember an animal mount on Ryloth before, but I don't know if they were blurgs or not. Certainly, they were Mando, and now they're here, so I'm more attuned to them. I'm more sensitive to them, especially because I think they look different in the animation than they would have in live action. And Creel called them blurgs, and we got to hear them talked about, and they were kind of a big deal in Mandalorian, so I think that's why they left a better impression on me there. But yeah, so that was all interesting stuff. It was a lot of fun, and again, I liked to see that Cham was reluctant in forming this rebellion. I was really surprised that I thought Orn Free-Taa lived for longer, but maybe I'm remembering seeing him in the Ryloth episodes of Clone Wars, and then I don't remember what happened to him after that. So I don't know, but to know that Crosshair executed him, that he shot him, I was a little surprised by that. I thought they were going to frame the Syndullas for killing him, and with the fact that they're probably recording stuff, they could have recorded Cham holding the gun up to his head, and then, hey, look, he's got a blaster bolt in his head. That must have been from the same gun. And trust us because we say so. But then again, being the evil empire, I'm sure they have no problem just manufacturing whatever evidence they have to bring a charge against somebody. So I thought that was good to see. I like seeing the evil of the empire on display, and I like how many different facets of the empire's evil we get to see, because it's helpful to define what exactly it is evil for a government to do, and in order to effectively show the evil empire being that, the writers of the show have to create scenarios where they're doing things that I don't like, personally. the kinds of freedoms that they are trampling on in order to secure their empire, to secure their power, to secure their oppression over the people, are all things that I dislike. What do you mean you dislike specifically? Well, I'm not going to get into it necessarily, but I think if you really think about it, these are things that you oppose as well. But most people don't seem to value certain freedoms as equally because they're more concerned about safety. And remember, it's all about having a safe and secure empire. And that's what matters. And, even if liberty has to die to thunderous applause, that's all that really matters. As long as you're safe, that's what's important, right? Anyway, what else did I like about this episode? There wasn't really much. I liked hearing Hera's, original Rylothian accent. Her mom seemed really cool. I loved the character designs. To me, the what are the men? The men of Ryloth, not Thorian, that's the Hammerheads. There's been an unequal distribution of good looks in the species of Twi'leks, and the men have these weird bumpy foreheads and these sharp teeth and sometimes red eyes. I'm looking at you, Bib Fortuna. And the women are always made to be more delicate and lovely looking, let's just say, and more pleasing to gaze upon. And I was happy to see that they actually kind of did a good job of making Cham look less grotesque, probably because he's heroic. But anyway, it was really cool to see him looking so good. And I always disliked Hera's design in Rebels, and while we did not get to see Hera in her Rebels costume, her mother, I believe Hera is supposed to be, or is likely very close to a spitting image of her mother, and and I think they both looked very good. The proportionality of their look, of their anatomy, I guess you could say, is what I liked. And I'm not being gross, I'm being honest and open. The way that the costume looked, at the collar around the, I don't know if you call it armor or flight suit or what you would call it necessarily, but something about the neck and the length of the neck of Hera's character model in Rebels always threw me. It always looked very unnatural. It always looked, I don't know, bad. I like Star Wars Rebels overall, but the design was definitely a huge step down from Star Wars The Clone Wars, and it was always too bad that it had to look like that. And I say it had to look like that because I don't think they had any other option. I think they had a huge budget cut. I think, Lucas is an eccentric billionaire who wanted to put a bunch of money into his show so that it would look exactly how he wanted it to, and he was free to do that with Clone Wars because he owned everything at the time and it was his money. And then when the Disney switch happened, they said, we'll put a little bit of money into this, but not enough in my opinion, and that sadly affected the design work on the show. And man, I almost wonder if they took the opportunity with this iteration of Bad Batch or Clone Wars 2.0 to show hey, this is what Hera should look like, because just the character design, the form, the model, it just looks so much better. Like I said, even Cham looks so much better. These are appealing people to look at, and I don't know, it's just, again, I'm not saying I'm panting over here. I'm just saying that the proportionality, the necks are like a good regular, they look like real human bodies, and Hera's head or neck always looked like it was way too long and it didn't quite work anatomically. I don't know. If you just look at them side by side, Hera from Rebels and her mom from Bad Batch here, and imagine they should look the same. They don't look the same. They don't look like the same species. I mean, they do, but they don't. Just on a character design basis. So, yeah. I usually like to try to wax philosophical or say profound things, but in talking about how much I like the evil of the Empire being shown off here, I basically did talk about the deeper things in here, which are how do you balance freedom and security and things like that. And I think I basically covered everything I want to. So anyway, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. I really like this episode of Rebellion on Ryloth. It was pretty great, and I can't wait to get back to to Bad Batch. I hear, well, anyway, I don't want to talk about spoilers or rumors or conjecture, so I'll just leave it here. Yeah, but I'm interested to see what happens. Of course, Sid tying the Bad Batch to the Rebellion on Ryloth via smuggling weapons to them. That works for me. That's interesting. I didn't realize the Sid relationship was going to continue, especially now that now that your girl Omega has helped pay off the debt entirely that the troopers had, that Clone Force 99 had. But I mean, your debt's paid off entirely, but it's good money. It's an easy gig, so to speak. Why wouldn't you keep at that and build up your credits for a little while before you move on, if you indeed have to? So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out my growing collections of analysis, art, and fiction. You can also visit mjmunoz.com/support to check out my latest designs and more. I welcome critique to improve my craft, so don't hold back any comments you have for me. I leave you with peace and blessings. This is MJ signing out.